Now the second part of my lecture, friends, is this. We are trying to understand what is a direct cost and what is indirect cost. The cost of a product comprises of materials, labor and expenses, and that is segregated into two parts. One is a direct cost. It is the total of direct materials, direct labor, direct expenses, and this is a cost which can be identified with the final product. Take a shirt, very little items are there. Cloth is identifiable, buttons are identifiable, but cloth is say 200 rupees, button may be 2 rupees. Therefore, both are direct, but button is called direct expense and this is called direct material. Second thing is wages. Wages for production jobs. That is, what is production? You are converting raw material into finished product. You are converting raw material into finished product. Understand? So, raw cloth has come, you will become shirt, garment. I give you leather, you make it into shoes. I give you iron, you make it into fans. Understand? So, I give you milk, you make it into ice cream. So, the value addition takes place where the raw material is converted into finished goods. And sugar cane with say 1000 rupees per kg, per ton, whatever the price is, it will become 2000 rupees because the addition takes place. And the wages, the productive wages, direct wages, indirect wages, all incurred in converting the raw materials will get into it. And so you have prime cost, then you have overheads, and the total cost comprises of this. First step, we should be able to understand that. Second is, what is overheads? Is an indirect cost. This is what I have already explained, you gave notes. It's an indirect cost which is not identifiable with the final product but can be converted into, but is necessary for manufacture. Now, classification of the overheads, element wise, indirect materials, indirect labor, indirect expense. I told you any cost which is related to the product is called as direct cost. That's how you should remember. Any cost which relates to the machines is called overheads. That's all. So now tell me, what is the cost related to machine? I have a machine which is converting the garment into a shirt. So what are the costs required for the machine? Needle is, then lubricant oils we are putting it, and then repairs, depreciation, that are indirect expenses. Lubricant oil, indirect material, and then workers will be there cleaning, or the tailor will be there cutting. The tailor is cutting so many shirts, you cannot identify with the final product. But the other fellow, there will be master will be there, he is cutting. That fellow's cost different. Whereas this person who is converting, stitching, which can be identified with it. The designer, planning, this is how the shirt should be there. His costs are all called overheads. So, first is classification according to materials, elements, and the next one is functional classification. Functional classification means converting raw materials to finished goods. Functionally, that's called manufacture. But indirect expenses incurred in the conversion of raw materials to finished goods come as manufacturing overheads. Then you have administration. Administration is a coordination of all other functions. Administration is coordination of all other functions. And accountant salary, managing director salary. And then selling. Selling means you give advertisement. People must know about you. That's all. That is why I give advertisement, say marketing, commissions and all. Distribution means I produce goods but I should reach I produce tea in Himalayas, it will come here. Petrol is produced in Mumbai or another places, refineries, but it's available everywhere. That's called as distribution overheads. And then others, which doesn't form part of the cost. What is cost? If you want to produce the product again and again, whatever cost you are going to incur, that's called cost. Understand? What is not required for producing the product, but you are incurring. Profit on sale of machine you are selling. You may get profit or loss. Understand? So therefore, that will come under financial in nature. So that is the first next part of our discussion. So you should be actually, friends, in costing means you have to know only this. All others are not used. Like accounts, what you should know is journal entries. Correct? Journal entries, cash book, ledger, trial balance. That's all. Nobody will ask partnership, nobody ask consignment and all. They are different. But most of us in our coaching and classes spend time on those things which we will never do in practical situations. Correct? Accounting means accounting entries, recording the transactions. Similarly, cost accounting, basics. Can you define, this is my cost, this is the direct cost, this is the indirect cost, this is the manufacturing overheads. I will give one more example. I have taken a place, say 5,000 square feet. 1,000. I am keeping 4 parts. 4,000 square feet, 4 parts. I am using this year, for example, machines, everything they are stitching. That's called manufacture. The rent paid there is called manufacturing overhead. I am having accountants, computers, everybody is doing administration. Then showroom is there. That is marketing, is advertisement, selling and distribution. Selling is making you know. Distribution means reaching the customer. Correct? This part we are ready. Now I am going to the next part, problems. I'll take the, I don't know what, 1 minute, this question paper. Now friends, whatever I explain, I am just recollecting. Whatever is, notes is there friends with you, notes, everything is there. This is written differently. This is a book which I have written, and from that I am reading out. First step is financial accounting or traditional accounting system aims at preparation of financial statements, namely profit and loss account for a given period, and the position of assets and liabilities in the form of balance sheet. The financial accounts consists of classification, recording, analysis of transactions, all that. The main emphasis of accounts, financial accounts, is to ascertain and inform the profit earned or loss incurred, rather than our vital aspects of planning, controls and decision making. In other words, the information provided by the accounts is about past, what has already happened, whereas the need for the management is about future, what is going to happen. Fine, you are all clear. So accounts is past. Please note down, simple wording. Accounts talks about past. Note down. Accounts talks about past. That is what has already happened. Actuals. Whereas costing is about future. Future. Estimation. Costing is estimation, accounts is actuals. If I say profit as per accounts means it is actual profit. If I say profit as per cost accounts, it means estimated profit. Understand? Accounts is post-mortem. You say the person dead. You cannot do anything about it. Why he died and all is important. What is use? Though it is useful for knowing, there is no preventive aspect is there. Today management, we need preventive aspects. Okay. That is the point you will write for this. Next step is this. To ascertain what is the objectives of the cost accounting system. To ascertain the cost of producing a product or rendering a service. So, first step, as I told you, cost accounting is to ascertain the cost of producing a product. Help the management in cost control and cost reduction. Provide information to management for decision making. Cost accounts records the expenditure in objective manner according to the purpose for which the cost is incurred. While we can find out these details from financial accounts, the product-wise costing cannot be ascertained from the financial accounts. It is actually development of financial accounts into costings, friends. There is nothing called, you see here. When you read like this, you have this material total cost incurred for 3 products, X, Y and Z. Materials, wages, other expenses. The cost, sales. Now you find that product Y is actually incurring loss. We have to discontinue the products so that the profit will increase. But then that is a decision, we are going to come there later. Activity based costing, which says other expenses. How will you allot the other expenses? What is the basis? That means in this case, if product X is withdrawn, you will be able to save that 25,000 cost. Please see, product X is withdrawn. You will be able to save the cost. So that is the subject. We are going to read decision making. Next. Now cost control I have explained already. Cost control is a process wherein the management ensures that actual cost is within the estimated cost. This can be achieved by rigorous control over the issues of materials, focusing avoidance of wastage, effective supervision of labor, avoiding idle time and inefficiencies, and effective control over expenditure. Example is, I gave you already, the estimated cost of producing 1 unit is rupees 20. The actual production is 1000 units. Then the actual cost should be 20,000 rupees. The management uses techniques such as standard costing, budgetary control for achieving this. Cost control can be implemented, we will talk about it later. Then cost reductions. Cost reduction refers to the procedures and techniques whereby the management aims at bringing down the estimated costs using cheaper and better substitutes for materials, improved and simplified methods of manufacture, and bringing effective control over expenditure without affecting the quality of the product. For example, if 1000 units are presently being produced at rupees 20,000, the cost reduction aims at producing more than 1000 units at rupees 20,000 or less without affecting the quality of the product. For achieving this, management will use several techniques such as work study, just-in-time purchase, zero-based budgeting, value analysis and value engineering techniques, which we will take up in final. So this is what is the final summary. This is what is the final summary. Hope you all got it. Now we went into this direct cost and indirect cost. The total cost comprises of direct cost and indirect cost. Materials, labor and expenses. Direct material, direct labor, all that I have explained. with an example also. Now classification of overheads. Overheads, as I told you, is an indirect cost. It is a total of indirect materials, indirect labor and indirect expenses. The raw material can be converted into finished goods. And then we try to explain what's manufacturing overheads. Functional classification. Administration overheads, selling and distribution overheads, etc. Now I am going to give you an example here I gave. You read that ready-made garments and you can see that same rent, depending on the function, you are going to set it into these things. So now I will try to give you this problem and solve this problem. Here we are concerned with how to classify the materials, direct labor, direct expenses. Indirect materials, that means there I want manufacturing overheads, administration overheads, selling overheads, distribution overheads and others. You are supposed to solve it. This is a shoe company and I have put two problems. Another one is glass cylinders. So first step is shoe company and I would like you to answer this question. Read everything detailedly and then start. I want you to do it as you like in 5 minutes. Thereafter I will tell you how to identify, how to do it correctly. That is very, very important. So let's wait for your answer. So dear friends, you read that problem very carefully and then try to identify the total cost into which can be classified as direct materials. Why? Direct labor and then direct expenses, then administration overheads, manufacturing overheads, selling and distribution overheads separately and others financial in nature. This is your job. When you are reading the problem, with the experience gained, you should put it answers there itself fast. Thereafter bring everything under this, then tally. First step will be over. Then that is functional classification. You should know what is total cost, how to segregate it into a prime cost and then overheads. So then all that I have explained. When a problem comes to you, when you go to a factory, how will you identify? This is the question. So now I'll leave the problem before you. I request you to solve the problem. See, first is cost of leather. So this is a manufacturing process which involves conversion of leather to shoe uppers, and then shoe uppers will be exported to foreign countries. This is the production process. Finished leather will be input. First process they cut it, second process stitch it, then the shoe uppers are ready. That's all. Now the cost starting from this thing we have to segregate. I will repeat and repeat. Cost of leather purchased and consumed 1 lakh. This is direct materials. Remember, cost of leather consumed, not purchases. Issued for production, point 1, correct, direct materials. Second, freight and insurance 20,000. Freight is, you see, freight and insurance or any expenditure incurred in bringing the raw materials to bring it to factory. For example, apples. In Kashmir, they are very, very free. They will be thrown down in the trees. But when the apple comes to India, Chennai, it's priced 20. Why? It's because the packing, costs of packing, insurance, then freight, then it will come here, some will get damaged. So all these costs will get added to that. But once they come to stores, any other costs are overheads, correct? No? So every cost incurred till you bring it to the factory, that is called as direct materials. Therefore, material purchased and consumed 1 lakh, freight and insurance 20,000, carriage inwards 5,000. All these three are direct materials. Totally 1,25,000. Agreed. Next. Salary or wages, that doesn't matter. But for what purpose? Stitching workers. Stitching is a production function. Stitching is a production job. 22,000 is a direct wages. Supervisor 13,000. Supervisor cannot be identified with that product. He is looking after so many products. Therefore, it is called as factory overheads. Factory overheads. Salary paid to cutting workers. Cutting workers. Cutting is a production job. Direct wages. Direct wages. Cost of rectifying normal defectives. Normal defectives are overheads. Whenever you produce, it's bound to happen. Normal means it's a part of the cost. Whereas abnormal will not repeat. Therefore, it is indirect, it is others. What is a cost? Anything which comes again and again. That is called cost. That's all normal costs are part of the cost. Whereas abnormal cost is not a part of the cost. It should be debited to costing, profit and loss account. Why? I'll give you a simple example. A person is staying in a distance 1 kilometer, 1 hour from the CA Institute classes. Now 6:30 to 9:30 is the CA classes, let us say. So he will take 1 hour to come, 3 hours in the class, then he will go back 1 hour, 3 plus 2, 5 hours. So normal cost, normal time spent for the classes is 5 hours. In that 2 hours is journey and 3 hours is class. He should decide which is waste, but then class is important, that's why he is coming. 3 plus 2. That 2 hours normal loss is a part of the cost. Suppose 1 hour this gentleman is going back in the scooter, the puncture takes place. So he gets stuck up for 1 hour. That is an abnormal cost, because this will not come again and again. This will not come again and again. That is the concept of normal loss and abnormal loss. Normal loss is a part of the cost. Abnormal loss is to be charged to costing P&L account, not to be included in the costing. Okay. Then over consumable stores, cutting blades and indirect materials, factory overheads. Indirect materials, factory overheads. Cost of thread and polish to shoes, leather, direct expense. Direct expense. And factory rent and depreciation is indirect expense. Factory overheads. Office and office expenses is administration. Managing directors foreign travel for getting orders 7,000. This is getting orders, that means selling and distribution. Reason is told. Gifts and presents to foreign buyers, that is for selling only. Commission paid to agents, selling expense. Rent paid to office building, 10,000. Stores, godown rent for raw materials, 8,000. Maintaining that factory overheads. Office building is administration overheads. Warehouse rent for finished goods, 12,000. Warehouse means distribution. Air freight charges, 13,000. That is, goods are transported West Germany, UK and all, Japan. So this carriage outwards, it is a distribution cost. Donation to political parties is a financial item. Donation to political parties is financial nature. For producing a product, you don't need donations to be paid. Income tax paid is also financial in nature. But audit fees and legal expenses are normal administration in nature. Revenue expenditure. I hope you are all clear.